Hello, it's Nikki. How you doing? I hope you're good. Yesterday, I had an epiphany and I wanted to share it with you and take you behind the scenes a bit. And I'm sure there'll be something in this for you that you can take away and play around. And the overall sense is that you really have to be willing to shake things up and look at things in a very different way to find your version and the way that it feels really good to you. So for a little while, I have needed to make some tweaks to my website because there were a couple of pages that look good on paper. So let's go back to that dating analogy. I'm sure we've met people like that. They're like, they look good on paper. They tick some nice boxes, but that heart, that feeling, that energy, that essence, that chemistry is not quite there. And that's what I was feeling about a couple of those pages on my website. I was like, yes, it's doing all the things that it needs to do. It's sharing the information, it's breaking it down, my terms and conditions are there, you can buy it. And it was all working because people had bought it and people were looking at it daily. But for me, if I really asked myself those questions, there was something missing. And now as you look at it, you will be seeing the full version of that and the changes that I've made. But it was a really interesting process of asking myself, am I going to be willing to do things and do the work, I guess, that will get me closer to it feeling like me? So I learned this very early on when I went to drama school. So those 3 years at drama school were intense. Like, it wasn't a usual university experience. You know, we were in all hours of the day with homework in the evenings. It was full on. And in terms of our ranges as actors, we were really pulled and pushed and stretched, and I played all kinds of creatures. Yes, I did actually. I think I spent a term lying on the floor. I can't even remember what animal I was, but you do some weird and wonderful things, let's just say. But I didn't get naked. It wasn't that school that I went to. But I played everything from a hostage to a girl who had run away, to a really eccentric vicar, to a murderer, to, I mean, my goodness, it was all kinds of characters, let's just say. And as I was doing that prep as an actor, there has to become this point where I feel like I can access it, where I can feel like there's truth in it. And that has always run through all of my business, from what I've sold to the way that I've shown up to how I'm interviewed on podcasts, how I conduct interviews on my podcast. I have a sense of knowing when I'm on and when I'm off. And if something feels off in something that I'm putting out there, it's like a fly in the room just buzzing around. And I try to ignore it and try to think, oh, it'll go away in a minute. But it's still there, and you have to take action and you have to meet it. So yesterday I sat down, I had an hour kind of carved out, and I thought, right, I'm going to tackle these pieces of my website. I'm going to look at it and see what I can do. So I started doing that very polite version where I read it through and I looked at the different parts of it and I started to move things around. And basically, I was just doing the equivalent of just putting a few things in cupboards, moving stuff to the side. And actually what it needed was that moment, like we do in our houses sometimes, in a kitchen, where you're like, I need to clean it, deep clean it, and move stuff out the way so I can see what's there and put stuff back. And for some reason, when I was doing this, I was finding it really difficult because I wanted to do that sort of polite moving around. And after about 5 or 6 minutes, I thought, well, I'm either going to sit here for the next hour and fiddle around a little bit and not quite get the result that I want, or I'm going to have to do something different. And so as you may or may not know, that is my moment usually where I'm like, I need to move. I need to move this. I need to see what's coming up. And it was quite early on a Sunday morning, so there weren't many people about. So I put my trainers on, I put my running stuff on, and I did a bit of a kind of a 5-minute, quite a good jog to warm up and to get my brain working. And then I slowed down and I opened my phone and I opened a voice memo and I started to talk. As I was walking, even though there were probably people driving past going, why is she talking to herself? But that's all right. And I started to ask some questions about what it is that I was trying to do, about what it is that I want to share, about what the essence of that is. And here are some questions that I asked. I was asking myself, 1 minute, let me get them in order. Here we go. I was asking myself, how could I make this feel more like me? So if I ignored all the rules, what would I do? How would it feel like me? How could I do this in a way that felt really good? Also, what do people really need to know? Not just the, how many modules it is or when it starts or how to access, because all those logistics can be put into a nice part of the sales page and people can refer to them and it will all be very clear. Actually, it was about what do people really want to know? What is really going on? How can I really convey whether or not this is going to be a great fit? How can I really convey my passion and why I do what I do and the transformation and the possibility within this? Because I've been part of enough programs, enough coaching sessions, enough experiences, workshops, live events, etc. And even though I might look at a sales page or a course or whatever it might be, there will always be somebody who will ask, where do I find that thing? Or will there be a replay? Or how many modules is it again? And of course, people learn in different ways, and sometimes people really need that clarification. But it's always a reminder in those moments that actually it's not about the thing, because there was something about those programs that people were connected to, and actually the delivery of the product or the service was kind of irrelevant. So it was about them really looking, or rather me looking, at what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to offer? What's this all about? What's the heart of it? And so I started to ask myself those questions. Who this is for, why I started it, why I feel particularly connected to this process, why I know that it works, how it can really support somebody. And I always ask myself this question it's about that ripple effect for me. And that's a really important exercise to do in terms of the transformation. So for example, somebody might be trying to sell a power hour and they might say, you get an hour of my time and then you get a recording afterwards. Great. But what is the ripple effect of that? So that person actually showing up to that hour to spend that time on their business. Had they not booked that, they might have got distracted. Something else might have got in the way. And then the ripple effect of actually doing the things, maybe bringing in more money, maybe bringing more opportunities, maybe being able to go on a holiday with their child and then therefore have more quality time with their child, or helping their mental health, whatever it might be. There are so many different things that you can share. So in terms of this personal brand plan, which is what I was working on, I got really stuck into terms of the detail, the logistics of like, this is what you get in each module. And actually I needed to pull it back and go, if you've got a really solid personal brand, you'll get to a stage where you'll be able to create money, whatever. You'll be able to live in a way that you want to live. You'll be able to work with your circumstances and be able to help the people that you need to help. That was the information that I wanted to have, that this was not just like a quick fix. Here we go, off we go, lovely jubbly. This was really about going into detail about what this was all about. I'm going to leave it there for you today and ask you to walk around your house or just set your voice memo part of your phone going and just talk about your program, talk about your service, talk about why you do what you do, and say it out loud. And another really valuable point to this is when you say it aloud, you notice the parts that are not quite so clear. So there might be questions where you're like, oh, and it all comes out. Remember when we used to do exams when we were at school, that we might read a sentence, we might read a question and like, oh, brilliant. Okay, I know what I'm doing. I can definitely write about the Second World War in this particular country. My knowledge is really strong there. That's probably not me, but it's just an example. But equally, there might be other questions or things that you ask out loud where you find yourself hesitating or it just feels a bit funky in your body. Listen to that. It's trying to tell you something. It's saying there is room, there is space for more exploration here. So take it seriously. Go deeper, go into that work. Because if it's feeling a bit jarred, if it's feeling a bit clunky, then it's an invitation. It's not wrong. It's not shameful. It's not because you can't do it. You absolutely can. It just needs a bit more time. It just needs a bit more care. So I hope that's been useful. As always, next steps. You can go to my freebie page. You can then go to my pricing and packaging page and find out more about how you price, how you package. You might want to go to my Speak Up page, all about how you put yourself out there, how you market, how you promote yourself. Or you might want to work with me one-on-one. So if you are interested in doing something on a one-to-one basis, do book a free 15-minute session, nikkiraby.com/contact or coaching with Nikki, and you can have a look about how that would help you. All right, I'm sending you lots of love. I hope this has been useful. Let me know, rate, review, subscribe if you're listening on the podcast or if you're listening as a video as well. Leave me a comment. Let me know what resonated. All right, lots of love. Bye.